All right, so as I said, a great big welcome to the 7-step system to superb speaking. I'm really excited about doing this webinar for you this evening because this is where you as well can learn how to be an amazing speaker. By the end of this webinar, you're going to know the 7 steps to becoming a confident and charismatic speaker. You'll be able to get your message heard and make a real impact. Now, be sure that you pay full attention. I know it's always tempting, and I know you've heard this 1,000 times on other webinars, but it's really tempting to have your Facebook or Twitter open in the background, but try and avoid that if you can. Let's just turn that bit off. Don't you hate these clever computers that give you all these suggestions that you're not interested in? Anyway, like I said, close down your Facebook and Twitter just for this next hour because I'm packing an awful lot in and you need to pay full attention and take plenty of notes because after this webinar, your life could never be the same again. And I really mean that. I actually should give a public health warning, because great speaking skills may make you famous. And are you ready for that? You've heard of the 15 minutes of fame, right? Well, when you're speaking in front of a group, it's like your 15 minutes of fame. Do it well enough and do it often enough and your message will spread far and wide, leading you to become famous in your field. And the more you do it, the better you get, the more you attract followers to you, and literally your life could never be the same again. But why do you want to speak in the first place anyway? Well, there are lots of reasons, but let's go through them. First of all, it's all about standing out from the crowd. There are so many people out there with a message to get across. There are so many people out there who have got businesses to promote, who've got careers to, look after and all that kind of thing. If you don't want to be one of the also-ran, one of the many, one of the grey people who don't get noticed, if you want to stand out, speaking is literally, in my opinion, the best way of achieving that. That means you can get hired. And that's whether you're employed or whether you're self-employed running your own business. Think about it for a minute. If you're working for an organization, then you want to either get headhunted to a better job somewhere else or you want a promotion, and any kind of hiring in the corporate world means that you've got to stand out and come across well at interview. And very often these days that means kind of speaking in front of a panel of 3 or 4 people sometimes. And of course nowadays it's much, much more common that you're going to be required to give a presentation as part of that selection process. So it's really important if you are employed and you want to get ahead and climb that career ladder. But if you're running your own business, it's just as important, if not more so, because it's the people who become known as experts in their field, they're the ones who are going to stand out and they're the ones who are going to get hired. And it is just so important because otherwise, again, you're going to fade into the background. Now, either way, it's brilliant for networking and relationship building with the right people. And again, one of the things I love about speaking is that it's free promotion. You don't have to spend a fortune on advertising. How cool is that? Whether you're employed, you might be working in sales and you might still have, targets to hit, and you might have a certain budget to play with in order to achieve those targets. Or if you're running your own business, you've got to promote yourself. And speaking is one of the best ways of getting free promotion without having to spend a fortune on advertising. It's going to help you to generate highly targeted leads much more quickly and easily than if you don't speak. Just think about this a minute. It's just something, you go along to networking meetings. Now, what it's going to do is speaking will help you to build respect and credibility. Think about those networking meetings for a moment. You can either be one of the people in the room sat in the audience, or you can be the speaker. Now, who is going to stand out more? Who is going to have more respect, credibility, and be recognized as the authority in their field? It's the speaker. It's the one at the front. Now, obviously, you can also do pretty well if it's one of those kind of networking meetings where everybody takes it in turn to give their little elevator pitch. Again, you can get an incredible amount of respect and credibility, and you can stand out and get noticed at those kind of events as well. But you're much more powerful if you are the speaker. Now, beware. I ought to give another warning here, because you can actually make more money. It's a bit like, now I'm going to tell you in a minute about my background, and I came from the financial services industry. And you know, you always get these little disclaimers. Must be careful because the value of your investments may go down as well as up. Well, I'm here to tell you that your bank balance could actually go up as well as down. And then that is a nice problem to have, believe me. So there is a million gazillion reasons why you need to get good at speaking, and all the different opportunities that you will have from being recognized as a credible authority and being famous in your field. Now, stick right to the end of the webinar, because I'm going to also tell you how you can download your free presentation template so that you can use it over and over again to create awesome presentations. I use this all the time and I find it is so helpful. All right, so this webinar is for you if you have a business to promote. It's for you if you aspire to senior leadership. It's for you if you just have a passion that you want to share. You might be passionate about a particular topic or cause and you want to spread the word. So you could you could have a favorite charity and you want to do some fundraising for it. Or you might have a political message that you want to spread, or any kind of message. You know, I've got some friends who are really passionate about certain charities to do with health because their loved ones have been affected by it. If you have a passion to share, then speaking is definitely something that you need to take a good look at. It's for you if you need to present for a number of reasons. It could be that you're a presenter at work. It could be that you have to give presentations as part of a course you're taking and you want the best marks possible. A lot of people come to me for help because they're students, whether they're, you know, fairly young students or mature students, it's no different. You have to present for your studies and your marks, quite frankly, you know, depend upon it. It's definitely for you if you're in any form of sales whatsoever, running your own business or working in a sales role in an organization. And as I've already said, it's definitely for you if you're a fundraiser. Okay, now this is definitely for you, and it doesn't matter if you've never given a presentation in your life before and you're actually quite terrified by the prospect. Or if you're actually a pretty seasoned speaker already and you just want better audience engagement and results. So we're going to look at both aspects here, and these 7 steps that I'm going to be walking you through will actually help you in both of those. So first of all, let me tell you a little bit of background about me. My career started off working in the financial services industry, as I said, working for building societies. I basically spent many years selling things like pensions, investments and insurance, but please don't hold that against me. I moved into training and development as part of that role, and then I decided I'd had enough of financial services and went into training and development full time. And then in 2000 I actually decided to go it alone, start working for myself, which I've been doing ever since. I am very lucky. I live in Plymouth, which is in the beautiful southwest of England. I've got plans to move to Gibraltar later this year with my partner, and I spend most of my spare time dancing salsa and various other Latin dances. I have a couple of guilty pleasures. I like shows like Strictly and X Factor and chocolate, although because of my latest health issues, I'm trying to keep the chocolate under wraps, as it were. But one of the things I'm most passionate about really is helping other people to develop their speaking skills. Because number one, I've seen the first-hand benefits that great speaking can bring, but I also know the pain that can be caused by speaking anxiety. I know, oh, excuse me, let me just take some water. Now, I know that that pain can be overcome because I had to overcome it myself. But why should you listen to me speak about speaking? Well, there are loads and loads of presentation skills trainers out there. But the thing is, a lot of them have never set foot outside of the training room and onto a big stage in their life. So how can they tell you what it's like to speak before a large audience? Then again, there are loads of professional speakers who are brilliant at speaking. They're amazing at what they do, and they get paid masses of thousands of dollars per speaking engagement. But they haven't been trained in how to pass that knowledge on. There are very few people who are able to say that they're both qualified and experienced trainers as well as professional speakers who've been paid to speak in front of large audiences. But I'm happy to report that I'm one of them. Now, you can see on the screen I've got the various bits of paper. I'm not going to bore you by going through them all. If that's important to you, great. It's there for you to see that I'm not fresh out of training. These were all gained over 10 years ago, and I've, kind of been there and sweated the knowledge side of things. But also, I've been training others for over 25 years and coaching for over 15. And to me, that experience is the most important. As far as the speaking side of things goes, I have learned a massive amount through having been in Toastmasters since 2004. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that organisation. And I also, at the same time, joined the Professional Speakers Association, and I've learned absolutely heaps from those. I've been on countless specific public speaking courses over the years and been fortunate enough to learn from some of the best in the business, including a guy called Frank Furness, who I doubt that you will have heard of, but he teaches the British sports people and celebrities how to speak. You know, when they've done their gold medals and they've, hung up their boots and they've decided, well, I need another way of making a living, and they go out on the motivational speaking circuit, and Frank Furness trains these people. So I was very privileged to be taught by him, and I was rubbing shoulders actually with the English cricketer Gladstone Small. I was on the same course as him, so that was pretty cool. I've also learned from David Shepherd, who is an incredible NLP presentation skills guy. And it doesn't stop there. I am about to go on Public Speaking University with the great Andy Harrington, and I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm always developing my skills so that I can pass these on to my followers. But more important than all of that, I've been there, done it, and worn a t-shirt. My first speaking experiences, I am sure you will be able to relate to this. It was on those corporate training courses, when you're a delegate and you have to introduce yourself to everyone else as it goes around the table, the creeping death. It was hell. And, as it comes closer to your turn, you get more panicky and, oh, it's awful. Do me a favour, stick your hand up if you can relate to that. If you've had that kind of experience where you've got to introduce yourself at a networking event or a training situation, and as your turn is approaching, then, you're beginning to get a bit scared. Yeah, I got hands going up all over the place here. The other thing is then it was when you had to feed back to the rest of the group. I used to suffer horribly. I would feel sick, my knees would feel like they were about to give way, my hands would shake, I would go all red and blotchy over my face and my neck, and my voice would suddenly desert me. Then, horror of horrors, I got promoted, and my new job required me to train staff and give public presentations. I had no choice but to just dive in and do it. Now, as you can imagine, this was a painful experience for me, but gradually over time I became more comfortable with the whole thing. I made loads of mistakes. Yes, I did make a complete idiot of myself on occasions, but I got over them and I learned from them, and gradually my fear gave way and turned firstly into a kind of quiet, shaky confidence, but then into pure enjoyment. Now I absolutely love speaking in public, and I chose to make a living out of it. I get paid to speak at business groups and conferences, and I get paid to teach others. My speaking gets me noticed, and it helps me to attract new clients, and people are now joining my webinars from literally all around the world. It still blows me away to think that I am being listened to not just in the UK, but in the States, in India, in Thailand, in Australia. It's just amazing, and the same can be true for you as well. It's just a buzz that I get out of it, and you know what, doesn't matter where you are right now, if you've never spoken before in your life, or if you're fairly new to it, or if you're kind of fairly seasoned speaker, you can progress to a point where you get that massive buzz out of it, and where you start making money from your speaking big time, whether that's getting hired in the employed situation or as an entrepreneur, or indeed getting paid to speak. So that's got to be a lot of good reasons to start speaking, and you know why I can help you in that quest. So let's have a look at what we're going to be covering today. First of all, I'm going to give you the #1 key insight that will make all the difference. Obviously, the webinar is called the 7-Step System to Superb Speaking Skills, so I'm going to be covering that. I'm going to be telling you the one big mistake that everybody makes and how you can avoid it. We're going to look at how you can implement these steps, and also how you can work further with me should you choose to. I'll give you an opportunity to ask questions at the end, and then I'll tell you how you can get your hands on that free template that I promised you. So here we go. The #1 key insight. Ta-da! It is easier than you think to deliver competently and confidently, to make a really good impression when you speak, gain credibility, and massively improved results from what you're getting right now. That's so important, I'm going to say it again. It is so much easier than you think to deliver not only competently but confidently, to make that really great impression when you speak, so that you really gain that extra credibility and massively improved results. Why is that? Why is it easier than you think? Well, I'll tell you. The vast majority of speakers out there wing it. They have no understanding sometimes of how to put a structure together. They've got no understanding how to enhance their presentations. There's probably only about 5% of the people out there who have taken the trouble to go and learn how to do it and learn how to do it properly. So if you're one of them, you're automatically going to rise to the top of the bunch and get better results than the people who've not been taught. Makes sense, doesn't it? So it's one of those things that, you know, as soon as you start learning, it's going to just take off for you, which is what makes it so exciting. I just want to give you a couple of metaphors. Some people think about speaking and they think, oh, it's so difficult, I can't do that, I'll never get it. Well, let me just point you to a few experiences where you felt that in the past. Do you remember, I mean, for some of us, like me, it's a bit long ago, but I can still vaguely remember when I was a toddler learning to walk for the first time. Yeah? Now, how many times do you reckon that you would have fallen over when you were a baby starting to walk? Do you think there would have been tears? Absolutely. I mean, you might remember them if you're not as old as me. But you can pretty much guarantee that it was a stressful time and you fell over lots and there were lots of tears. But did anybody ever say to you, oh no, that's not for you, give it up? You know, why don't you pack this, you know, walking lark in? You know, no, and certainly you didn't say that to yourself. A bit older, you were learning to ride a bike for the first time. How many times do you think you fell off that bike, grazed your knees? Again, more tears, blood involved this time as well. But you kept going, you know? And with the speaking, if you keep going and you persevere, you will get better at it. And you will get to a point where, do you know what? You find this is easy and you can actually do it without thinking about it. And with then just a little bit of the right guidance on how to put stuff together, how to deliver it, you can be brilliant. And that's where you get your massively improved results. Now, if you're a seasoned speaker already, it might well be that you've, you know, done pretty well, just like I had to in the beginning, and throwing yourself in and just doing it. Well, that's all well and good, but you can improve massively just by learning some tricks of the trade and really turning yourself from an okay speaker into a fantastic one. Let me tell you my experience when I was younger. I was horse riding mad, and I used to go up to the local stables and I would work in exchange for free rides. And sometimes I would save up my pocket money and go on longer proper rides as well. Now, I never had lessons. I couldn't afford lessons. It was just basically doing it, you know, and, you know, if you fell off, you kind of didn't do that next time. Fortunately, when you're kind of, you know, I don't know, 12 or whatever, you bounced pretty well. But it never occurred to me to have lessons. I just learned and I watched other people and I got on pretty well, actually. But then when I was about 24, I got my first horse and I decided to join a riding club. And at this point, I started having lessons. Oh my goodness, my riding was transformed. All of a sudden, I was taught how to do it properly. All of a sudden, I had so much more control. All of a sudden, I could, you know, take bigger and jumps more, and I could ride faster without falling off. It was just absolutely incredible. And the same is true with speaking. As I've said, you can get pretty good on your own by practicing and watching and learning by experience. But once you learn how to do it, it will transform your results. Okay, now then, let's have a look at how you can actually transform and get those results. Well, speaking and presenting is a skill. Like any other skill, you need to learn it, starting with the basics and then developing to reach advanced levels. And like any other skill, it's not going to happen overnight. You know, I wish I could give you a little data chip, you know, plug it in your brain and that's it. You go from non-speaker to amazing speaker overnight. But you need to take it gradually. So start off with the basics that I'm going to give you today, and then you just develop and develop and develop from there. Now, my unique 7-step system is based around what I call the 3 C's, the cornerstones of great speaking and presenting. And those cornerstones are confidence. You really do have to have enough confidence in your message. Now, you don't have to get to a point where there are absolutely no nerves at all. In fact, everybody suffers from nerves. And the audience will expect that, particularly if you're a fairly new speaker starting out. But you've got to have at least enough confidence so that you can put your message across confidently. If you don't have confidence at all, then people might mistake that in not having confidence in whatever it is that you're talking about. So you've got to have a certain level of confidence. The other C is content. It's all about having the right content. You can be really confident, and believe me, I've seen this time and time again. I have sat through some dire presentations where people have got bags of confidence, but they're so boring, you know? It's just, oh my God, death by PowerPoint, or it's just like grim, basically. You know, they show you slides with 1,000 bits of information on it, and you just can't take it all in. So you have to have the right content. And know how to structure the content, put that content together. And finally, that charisma, that certain speaking style that attracts people to you. It's the way you deliver, you know, how you get your passion across. Whenever people, if I ask a question in one of my training sessions, okay, tell me about who are some good speakers. And then I say, what are the qualities? This charisma word comes up time and time again. It's that kind of twinkle in the eye, the facial expressions, so there's something in the voice that everybody has who people reckon are great speakers. So charisma is really important as well. And the 7 steps that I've put together are based around helping you to develop these. Okay, so let's have a look at the 7 steps. First of all, the 2 things which are going to help you build confidence. Number 1, preparation. Most people dramatically underestimate the amount of preparation that goes into putting a presentation or a speech together. They reckon that it should take you an hour of preparation for every minute of speaking that you're planning to do. Now, that might sound a bit drastic, but believe me, it is worth it. Now, one of my clients had to give a 10-minute presentation as part of a promotion selection process. So I worked with him, and it took us literally about 5 hours to put his content together and get it right. When you add in kind of research and all of that kind of stuff, and in and deciding what goes in, what gets slung out, and all that kind of thing. And then we spent 5 hours perfecting his delivery of it. So he literally did spend 10 hours working on a 10-minute presentation. But you know what? It did the trick. He really was not great at giving presentations before we did this work together. But he sailed in there. He stormed the interview. They were absolutely blown away so much by the presentation that he gave. Not only did he get the job, but they took his ideas on board and implemented it immediately within the company. I mean, that's how powerful and influential you can be if you spend enough time on doing this and getting it right. So preparation is key. And you know what? The more prepared you are and the more you know your stuff, the more confidence you're going to have. So the second thing is getting into state. Before I do that though, actually what I'll do is I'll just run through the 7 steps and then I'll go into each of them in a bit more detail. Getting into state, it's all about the right frame of mind, yeah? We're going to talk about having the right purpose and message. If you've got the right purpose and the right message and you're delivering that to the right audience, that is all part of the right content. Knowing how to structure it. What are the magic ingredients that are going to bring it alive? Then how you're going to deliver that. And then the 7th step is kind of outside of the 3 C's. If you like, it's my 4th C, constant improvement. Something that's absolutely essential. Okay, so as I've already talked about, and I forgot to move my slide on, step 1, preparation. So you need to prepare your talk thoroughly, practice your talk thoroughly, but you also then need to prepare yourself thoroughly. So you need to look after yourself in terms of making sure you get enough rest and sleep. This is, by the way, you know, up until recently, this has been, you know, do as I say, not do as I do. But because I actually take on a little bit too much, I was doing too many speaking engagements, too many webinars, working too hard. That's why I became ill and couldn't run my webinar last week. So what you need to do is look after yourself, you know, because I didn't, I mean, number 1 and 2 I had covered, yeah, but number 3 I did not prepare myself. I didn't look after myself properly. And what did that mean? It meant I had to cancel a very important speaking engagement, which was the webinar that I was running, and you know, I had a whole load of people looking forward to it, and then it couldn't happen. So you do need to look after yourself as well. Drink the right, you know, drink the right drinks, lots of water, not alcohol, by the way. I never recommend drinking alcohol before any kind of presentation because it will set you off into another sphere altogether. Save your glass of wine for when it's finished. Eat the right kind of foods and so on and so forth. It's really important to prepare yourself as well. Okay, so moving on to getting into state. Now, those of you who've come to some of my webinars before, and particularly on confidence, this is something that I bang on about all the time because it's so important. Most people who are saying that they are nervous, or especially if they're over anxious, are pretty much guaranteed to be focusing on everything that can go wrong. So they're focusing on, oh, I'm going to forget everything. My technology is not going to work. I'm going to make an idiot of myself. Nobody's going to like me. They're going to ask me questions that I can't answer. I'm going to get heckled. You know, if you focus on all of that, it's not surprising that you're going to feel pretty crap in terms of confidence. You know, it's just not going to happen. If you're focusing on all of that stuff, then it's almost impossible for you to feel brilliant and totally confident. So you have to focus instead on everything going right. And one of the best ways of doing that is to take the focus off of yourself and onto your audience. Most of us, when we're nervous, we're focusing on, oh, it's all about me and it's all about what they're going to think of me. But actually, it's not all about you. It's not all about me, you know. It's all about the audience. It's all about what are they going to get from listening to me. I don't care if I make an idiot of myself. I don't care these days if I trip over my teeth, if I say things out of order and I have to change things, because actually that doesn't matter. What matters is that I get my message across. what matters is that my audience can learn from me how they can become better speakers, how they can get more confidence, and how they can use that to further their own ends. You know, this is what I want to do. I want to inspire people. I want to make life better for people. And if I focus on that side of things, I haven't got space to be nervous, because it's not about me. It's all about them and the message and how it's going to benefit them. Does that make sense? So focus on everything going well. Focus on everything going right. Now, the other thing that you can do with focus is you can steal emotions from another time. So you can just focus on a time when you felt brilliant. You can focus on a time when you felt really happy. And if you do that, in fact, I want you to do it right now. Okay, I want you to focus on a time when you felt fantastic. It could have been, you know, a time at work when you were in the zone. You know, you were really on a roll. You know, things were just brilliant. It could be when you were just having a laugh out with your mates. It can be when you're on the beach relaxing. You know, it can be, you know, the birth of your kids. It can be your wedding day. It can be your divorce day. It can be whatever. Focus on a really happy occasion. And just take yourself back there right now. And I bet you've at least got a little smile on your face, because that was a good time. Well, you can borrow that and you can bring it into the present. Now, I haven't got time to teach you on this webinar how to go into that massively, but there are techniques that you can use that absolutely amplify that and make you feel brilliant, which you can use right before you start speaking. Now, the next thing that you need to think about when getting into state is a language. Again, people very often say that they're terrified or they're panicky, or, you know, they're using really, really negative language. And it's not appropriate. You know, if I was going to let a tiger that hasn't been fed for a week or so into the same room as you, I would give you permission to be terrified, because now your life is at stake. But when you're speaking, your life's not in danger. It's okay. It's a bit more complex than just putting it as simply as that, again, for reasons which I don't have time to go into now. But what happens is we still take on this fight or flight feeling, because we still feel that it's a them and us situation, and that is what puts you into this, you know, heightened state of adrenaline. But actually, you're not going to come to any harm, you know, unless you're a politician who is speaking to the opposition, you know, then you're not going to be given a hard time. So what you have to do is think of the language, and instead of saying I'm terrified and all of that kind of stuff, all you have to do is change it to, do you know what, I am a bit nervous, but that's okay. And suddenly you'll start to feel better. And that's believable. Now, there are some trainers out there who will tell you that if you work on it enough, you can just tell yourself that you're supremely confident. If you've got enough practice at that, that can work. But also, it does require you to be very suggestible. You know, a lot of people who work with NLP practitioners and hypnotherapists, a lot of these guys, I mean, if you just look at, say, for example, I know Paul McKenna or Derren Brown or any of these guys, they pick people from the audience who are the most suggestible. So if you're not one of these most suggestible people, it's not going to work for you, because you'll say, I'm supremely confident, and this little voice will be going in your head, rubbish, and you don't believe it. But if you just say, do you know what, I am a little bit nervous, but that's absolutely fine, I can handle it, then that's all you need to get into a good enough state to give you confidence to go out there. And there's a massive amount of things that you need to do as far as your physiology is concerned. Again, I don't have massive time to go into all of these steps in a lot of detail tonight. I'll tell you later on how you can get more information about all of this. But your physiology, just for one thing, just putting your shoulders back and down and breathing, opening up your diaphragm and breathing, it will take away a lot of those symptoms that you suffer from. So step 2 is all about getting into the right emotional state. Okay, step 3. If you're going to be a good speaker, you need to have a really good purpose and message. What do you want your audience to think, feel, or do by the end of your talk? if you haven't got this nailed, then to be honest, there's hardly any point in giving the talk in the first place. This was a mistake that I made over and over and over again as I was cutting my teeth out there on the speaking circuit. I would give brilliant educational talks, but apart from educating, there wasn't really a great purpose at the end of it. You need to, like for example, my purpose and message running right through this webinar is that you can do it too. I want you, by the end of this webinar, to think 100% I can do that. I can get out there and I can speak, and this will make a difference to my success. That's what I want you to think. I want you to feel excited about speaking. You know, I want you to feel, yes, not only can I do this, but that's brilliant. Things which have been, you know, I've been banging my head against a brick wall. Yes, I feel motivated. I feel inspired. You know, that's how I want you to feel at the end of it. And what do I want you to do at the end of it? Well, I want you to take steps to get out there and get speaking. Simple as that. I don't want you to sit back and think, oh, well, yeah, that was an interesting webinar, fine. No, I want you to go and speak. I want you to get better at it. I want you to practice the skill. I want you to improve your skills, and I want you to get better and better so that you start getting the results that you're looking for. So in the same way, you need to know what is the purpose and message of the talk or the presentation that you're giving. Okay. Once you've got that, you need to have a structure. Now, a lot of people, I actually quite find this quite funny, because it needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And a lot of people, I can say, well, do I really need to be told that about structure? Well, yes, actually you do. Because most talks are all middle. They'll have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion, which most people will think is the beginning, the middle, and the end, but it's not. So let me tell you what a lot of presentation skills trainers teach. They tell you, right, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. That is your introduction, your body, and your conclusion. But it's all middle. You need to have a wham of a beginning. You need to have a beginning that really sets the scene why they should listen to the rest of your presentation. So a beginning needs to smack in between the eyeballs. At the beginning of this webinar, I told you that this could change your life, that you could become famous, that you could, you know, get hired, you could do all of these things by learning how to speak better. And this is what I'm talking about. You need to give people a reason to pin their ears back and listen to you the rest of the way through. Okay. Then you transition from that beginning, and one of the things, if you choose to work with me later on, I will tell you how to put that kind of a beginning together. There are lots of things that you can do to really make this beginning happen. Then you just transition into the middle. And then you get on to the tell them what you're going to tell them. So as I moved to this, I said, right, this is what we're going to be covering today, yeah? And then now we're kind of in the body. So I told you I was going to give you the insight, the 7 steps, and so on, and now I'm working through that. And you'll see later on, I summarize that up, and then I'll end with giving you something specific to do, okay? Because I want you to go out there and put this into action. I don't want you to just take this knowledge and do nothing with it. I want you to absolutely put it into action. Okay, magic ingredients. So once you've put your structure together, once you know what you're going to talk about, once you've got your middle, your introduction, your body, and your conclusion, you've got all your points lined up, what you need to do then is put in some like magic ingredients. So the magic ingredients are things like enriched vocabulary. So instead of saying, for example, well, I was very sad when this happened to me, you can say, you know, when I was in the dungeons of gloom, you know, or instead of saying that something, yeah, that's really very good, well, you can say how magnificent it is. Or if I say, for example, I heard a speech and it was, you know, a very impressive speech, I might say, oh, that person spoke eloquently. You know, so just look what vocabulary that you can put in to enrich your talk. Rhetorical devices. Now, the best rhetorical devices are the simple ones, stories and anecdotes. I've told you stories and anecdotes, well, mainly anecdotes today actually, because I've been talking about myself. The difference between a story and an anecdote is quite simply, a story is when you're talking about somebody else, and I'll be telling you a story about somebody else a bit later on. Anecdotes are when you're talking about yourself. Similes and metaphors. I've used a lot of metaphors today. Things like likening learning to speak with, you know, that baby learning to walk, or riding a bike, or me and my horsey experiences. I could have just put it all in the context of speaking, but actually that gets kind of quite boring. As much as I think speaking is an amazing subject to get my point across, if I just stuck totally to speaking and didn't liven it up with metaphors, it would be dull. Things like alliteration. Now, I've actually gone to town on the alliteration with the title of my webinar. Now, and this is great because you can use numbers and it doesn't kind of look, you know, mine's all the S's. 7-step system to superb speaking skills. And of course, the number 7 is another S, which is quite cool. Alliteration is lovely. And again, instead of, you know, saying, oh, well, I was very sad at this time, you can say, well, when I was in the deepest darkness of despair, you know. And this is another tip. The deepest darkness of despair, as well as being an alliteration, is what we call a triad, which is quite simply just arranging things into threes. People like threes, they can remember it. So, I mean, obviously you've got to put everything into threes. Again, that would be boring. But if you can put lots of things into threes, it's really useful. So, for example, speaking is a massive subject. I've put it into 3 things: confidence, content, charisma. Confidence, one of the steps of confidence, I've broken into 3. Focus, language, physiology. So if you break things up into triads, it makes it much easier for people to take on board. Humour. Now, you don't have to be a stand-up comedian to just put humour in. You can just tell funny little anecdotes. Things like when I say this could be your wedding day or your divorce day, usually raises a smile, you know. As long as you make people smile, that's as much humour as you need. Obviously, if you've a talent for joke telling and you are a bit of a stand-up comedian, fantastic, fill your boots, but you don't have to be. Music. Some presentations, it's great when you put music in. For most short presentations, it's kind of, you know, not needed. And in fact, when I first started putting music into my presentations, I used to go a bit over the top. And the feedback I used to get was, oh, cut the music, you know. So you can go over the top with that sometimes. Alrighty, so some of the magic ingredients there for you. Again, I could talk heaps about those, but I just don't have time. The next step, step 6, is all about your delivery. So this is about how you say it. Your vocal variety. So it might be that you get excited at some points. It might be that you, if you're giving something that, you know, not somber necessarily, but right, this is important, guys. You know, you just want to speak with a bit more urgency. You vary your speed, your pitch, and your tone so that you don't come across as monotone. And every now and again, you need to just pause. Let people digest what you're saying. Okay, so how you say it is really important. But also, so is body language. Your gestures, your facial expressions, what you do with your hands, your movement. So if you're speaking in a live situation, you need to, you know, use the stage space that you've been given. You know, it's most people are just too tied to the lectern or tied to one spot. You know, move around, you know, go into the audience, come back out of the audience, you know, use the whole of the stage. You do need to be aware that if you're talking online, your gestures need to be small enough to fit in your webcam if you're using a webcam, if you're doing video, or if you're doing webinars where you're doing a talking heads webinar. And also your movement needs to be contained within that area as well. But you don't want to be rigid, so you still want to be natural. The other thing with body language, even if you're doing a webinar like I'm doing tonight, where it's my voice over slides, you still want movement because it generates excitement. I mean, I'm sat here, and if you could see me, my hands are going all over the place, and I'm, you know, I'm jumping up and down in my chair and all that kind of thing. And occasionally I'll stand up because movement creates energy, and energy creates excitement. So even when you're delivering a webinar like this one, it's really important that you have enough movement. So that's kind of the essence of the delivery. Oh, there's loads more to say as well. I wish I had more time, but then again, you know, I guess I've got to have something to keep for the clients who are paying me. So, but I wish I could tell you. Well, I can. I've got so much I can tell you about the delivery, but you'll just have to work with me further for the rest of it. All right, now step 7. This is now we've done our 3 C's, but this is the 4th C, if you like. This constant improvement. You have to get good at doing these 3 things. First of all, you have to get good at self-evaluation. Now, when it comes to self-evaluation, you need to be kind to yourself. One of the biggest problems that people who have got kind of public speaking anxiety, the first thing that they do is they trash themselves. Oh, I forgot to say this, I didn't do that, you know, that was rubbish. And there is so much that they do well. You have to, first of all, give yourself a pat on the back for what went right. Then you can think, well, okay, what would have made it even better? And this is really important. Instead of saying, oh, well, what was rubbish? What do I need to change? Because that's not going to build your confidence. You just say, okay, what would have made it better? What would have, you know, and it's a very different way of doing it. So you do need to be good at self-evaluation. Then you need to be good at also getting feedback. Now, here's the thing. You need to get feedback from the right people. A lot of the time, it's no good getting feedback from friends or relatives because, number one, they're probably being too kind. If they're not being too kind, they are just fault picking, you know. But mostly, they don't know what to feedback on. You know, unless they're speaking experts themselves, how can they judge you and your performance? So you need feedback from the right people. You need feedback who know what they're talking about. And then once you've got that feedback from, you know, your own internal knowledge plus the external feedback, you need to then tweak and enhance. So keep going over your presentation, tweaking it and enhancing it and improving it. Why do you think these professional speakers are so good at what they do and why they get paid so well? Because they do the same talk over and over and over again, and they keep improving it. They keep taking audience feedback. They keep, you know, evaluating it themselves, and they keep changing it and enhancing it until it is brilliant. And that's the way forwards. That's the way to get your constant improvement. Okay, so those are the 7 steps. Now, what about the biggest mistake? The biggest mistake people make is you are not a TV presenter, so don't try and be one. People try and be something they're not. They kind of turn into newscaster. Well, you know, it's boring anyway if you deliver your talk in the way of a newscaster. If you look at the good speakers on TV who are amazing and they're natural, they're not the kind of newscaster or typical old school presenter. They are themselves, and you know, you see them warts and all, and they make loads of mistakes. And do you know what? Even though they make loads of mistakes, they get paid really well for what they do. So you don't have to be one of these newscasters or, you know, TV presenter type people. Don't try and be one. Instead, you just need to be yourself. All you need to do is act just like you, develop your own style, but the things that you can do to really kind of improve yourself is to follow my 7 steps that I've just given you. Be authentic. So don't talk about anything actually that you're not that bothered about, you know. Speak from the heart and be passionate. And if you are genuine, authentic, and you speak with passion from the heart, people will absolutely love you. Okay, so when we're looking at improvement then, what doesn't work? Well, first of all, practice on its own does not work. It's a bit like I told you about with my horse riding. It's about, you know, getting good at being mediocre. Knowledge on its own doesn't work. You have to implement that knowledge. So what you need is a combination. And it's this combination that does work. A combination of knowledge, the right practice, coaching and mentoring to guide you, to give you the right knowledge, to help you with your practice, to give you the right feedback. The best way of getting it then is specific in assignments, so that you actually got something to work towards, that you're not just giving random talks and getting random feedback. As I've said, the right feedback really does work, and then just continually improving this and going through this system again and again and again, that is what does work. And let me give you some of the benefits of what happens when you get all of this. Neil Walker was a client of mine who, when he first contacted me, he said that he would rather an asteroid hit the building that he was in rather than give a presentation. Now, Neil is so much more confident, and not only does he cope with the presentations that he has to deliver in his workplace, but he actually volunteers. His ability has soared. He's made a massive difference in the impact on his audience, and he's getting much more credibility and respect from the audiences he speaks to. So it can make a huge difference to you, you know, just by working with me for a short length of time, and I've got a whole variety of ways that you can do that, can make a massive difference. So, just to recap then what we've been talking about. First of all, great speaking skills can help you to become famous in your field. It can help you to land that dream job. It can help you to get the promotions that you're after. It can help you to win clients, get hired if you're an entrepreneur. It can help you to basically attract more clients and make more money, and it helps you to inspire, influence, persuade. You know, your message can go out there. Whatever it is that you're passionate about, you will get people on board. It's also easier than you think to achieve that. Really, believe me, I've seen so many bad speakers out there because quite simply they haven't been taught. If you follow the right steps, it is so much easier than you think to make a massive impact and to get results. Great speaking is all about the three cornerstones: confidence, content, and then charisma. And there are 7 key steps that will help you to develop those 3 and then continue to improve. Your biggest mistake is trying to be a TV presenter, so bin that idea. And what really does work is a combination of knowledge, coaching, and practice. So now I'm going to tell you how you can work with me to help you develop those 3 things. I'm really super excited about this. I've put together a 90-day online program walking you through the 7-step system. Now, in the past, I've put together kind of self-study programs which, you know, can help you put presentations together. But this time, I am really putting in the combination of the knowledge, the coaching, the mentoring, the practice, and everything. And I'm really excited because I think it will help people to get massive results. Now, what you're going to get for this is 16 modules to develop and improve your speaking, whatever your starting point. I'm going to be putting together video tutorials so that you can see the theory in action. Sometimes it's not enough to just read it. You want to see it. You know, this is what to do, this is what not to do, that kind of thing. I'm going to put together webinars so that we can go through the content together and answer any questions that you may have. So there'll be 6 webinars, one every fortnight over the 90-day period, and 6 individual one-to-one coaching sessions with me, which can be used to set up your speaking strategy, to help you to develop your talk right through from the purpose to all the content, and working on your delivery as well. On top of all that, as I've said, I want you to set a speaking challenge. And in fact, I'm going to give every single one of you just tonight a speaking challenge. But I will put a specific speaking challenge together for everybody who comes and works with me, dependent on where you're at right now. And that challenge will be different if you're a complete beginner to somebody who's been speaking for a little while. There will be assignments to help you along the way to work towards that speaking challenge. I'm going to give you, now this is what's really exciting, I'm going to give you unlimited slide critiques. So you put together your own presentation, you send me the slides, and I will help you to make the most of those slides until they are absolutely amazing. I'll give you unlimited video critiques. So you can make a video, send it to me, and again, same thing, and that video can be you talking over slides like this or you speaking to camera. But I will give you unlimited video critiques as part of that. I will also give you unlimited email support. So if you've just got a little nagging question that you need help with, fire off an email to me and I will get back to you just as soon as I can with the answer. On top of that, I will put together a private Facebook group so that you can buddy up with other students. So there is a massive amount of kind of personal attention in this. Now, first of all, what I want to do is to get you to think of what would it be worth to you to really take your speaking skills to the next level. What would it be worth? And what difference would it make to your life? You know, what kind of things are you hoping to achieve from speaking? So remember, think back to all the things that can make a difference. About if you're employed, it can help you to get that job. If you're an entrepreneur, it can help you to win more clients. It can make a massive difference. You just look at them. Barack Obama, he holds the most important job on the planet. He got that job because he was a great speaker. He went from being an unknown to suddenly taking the limelight because of a speech that he gave at one of the Congress things before he became a presidential candidate. And then, you know, you've only got to look at other British politicians. The same goes. But it's not just about politics. Let me tell you a guy called John. Now, John is a guy that I'm fairly friendly with. I met him on the networking circuit when I was doing a lot of networking. Now, John works for a utility company. So basically, he sells utilities to consumers. And he was at a networking event, and it was a big open event, and there were 5 people from the same franchise of utilities. Now, the big thing here is John gave his elevator pitch, and he was so good, he blew the other 4 out of the water. At the end of the elevator pitch round and after breakfast, everybody who was interested in hearing more about utilities went to talk to John. The other 4 needn't have bothered showing up. You know, they were talking to each other, but not many other people were talking to them unless they had to kind of muscle in on other people's conversations. People were flocking around John. What was it that made the difference? Well, his elevator pitch was so good that was what made the difference. And the reason it was so good is because John has taken it seriously. He joined a speaking club and he has progressed with his skills. That's the difference it can make to you. So just think about what difference it will make to you to be able to really speak well, whether it's at networking events, elevator pitches, being the speaker, speaking at conferences, whether you have to go to, you know, I don't know, give sales presentations for your studies, presentations for your job, you know, winning clients. You might need to speak on video or give webinars like this one. What difference is it going to make to you? So what's all this going to cost then? Well, for all those benefits and for everything that you're going to get, I could quite easily, you know, in fact, in the future, I'm probably going to be charging either $2,000 or $2,500. I haven't made my mind up yet. But for now, because this is a new program, and as with everything new, there's the, you know, introductory special offer, I'm only going to charge $997. Now, bear in mind, you're getting a massive amount of my personal time. You're getting one-to-one coaching, but you're also getting these unlimited video critiques, slide critiques, and so on and so forth. So there is a massive personal time commitment from me to help you, to make you successful. Because of that, I can only take 6 people. So you need to kind of basically, you know, act quickly to get one of those 6 slots. Now, to make life easier, I'm going to give 3 options. So now you need to, because there's only going to be 6 people, I'm going to put this through an application process, which I'll tell you about in a minute. And it's going to cost $100 or £60 to apply. If after applying you don't proceed for some reason, either if I think that, do you know what, I don't think it's right to take your money because I don't think this is for you, or if you think, no thanks Tina, but now that we, you know, I know a little bit more about it, actually I've decided not to proceed, you will get that deposit back. But the options are to pay the deposit plus 3 payments of $347, or if you're in the UK, £227. Or option 2, you deposit plus 2 payments of $497 or £327. Option 3, just pay the whole lot all at once. So basically you pay your deposit and then the remaining $897 or £587. Now, as I said, it's an application process. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to escape from this a moment, and I'm going to put the application page. Okay. Actually, this is a sales page where you can click on the apply now. Okay, so let's eek. Huh. I've just closed my chat box by mistake. That was a bit daft, wasn't it? Ah, here we go. Let's put it back again. Phew. Okay. So that's the link you need. Now, as I said, you submit the application form from that page. You pay the deposit, which is refundable if you decide that you're not going to go ahead, and then I'll contact you, having gone through all the applications, within 48 hours to let you know whether or not I think that you're right for it and give you the opportunity to ask questions. Then you need to make a commitment, say either, yes please Tina, that's fantastic, and then you just need to pay the first instalment. And then we're going to start now. Actually, I haven't changed the slide. I will immediately send pre-work modules. Obviously, I was going to start the program on the 29th of April, but then I was ill, so we've delayed things a little bit. But I will still do the first webinar on Tuesday, the 7th of May. Time to be confirmed, depending on the time zones of the people who are in the program. Okay. Couple of more testimonials for you. I was working with a lady called Lucy Flanagan. She's a life coach. Not only has she overcome a massive fear of speaking, but she is now speaking regularly and using it as a key source of getting business. She sent me a Twitter message recently, and she's saying, hey, look at me in action. She sent me a great video. I'm not going to show you the video now because I'm running out of time a little bit, but I was so thrilled. But what I will do is I'll pop that video up somewhere on a blog or that you can see it, because she was absolutely delighted. Now, for people who take fast action, so I'm going to give you until midnight, Friday the 3rd of May, so that's this Friday, and I'm going to give you a little bit longer. If you apply by midnight, and I'm going to use Eastern time, you'll get some extra bonuses. I'm going to give you a PDF of my book. My book is normally available only on Amazon, called Befriending the Bear, which is all about how to overcome fear of public speaking. You'll also get a full set of planning templates. Now, remember I told you to stick around to the end, because I'm going to give you one of those templates right now so that you can get your hands on it, on how to make presentations so much easier for you. But you will get a full set of them. There's about six or seven of them altogether. You'll get some special MP3s to download onto your phone, and that will really help you to get into the right state just before you're about to give a talk. I've got an amazing interview that I did with a lady called Kelly Watkins, all about speaking to sell, and you'll get that as well. On top of that, for anybody who is a complete beginner, one of the things that I recommend for practicing in a safe environment is to join Toastmasters. But even that can be daunting for some people, so I'm going to put together a special Toastmasters survival kit for complete beginners. And on top of that, anybody applying by Friday will get a special day with me here in Plymouth, where we can spend a day going through your presentation, tweaking it. I will give you feedback in person, and if you've never been to Plymouth, whether you're in the UK or whether you live further afield, it is it's the home of the Mayflower pilgrims. So our American cousins have got our roots here in Plymouth, and it is stunning. And I tell you what, sometimes I've often thought about running these events in London, but accommodation is so much cheaper in Plymouth, it's so much nicer in Plymouth, and it is a stunning city. So you get to spend a special day with me in Plymouth. On top of all of that, to make this a complete no-brainer, I'm going to give you a total money-back guarantee. Oops, I thought I had more about the money-back guarantee. Basically, if after the first 30 days you think, no, this is not for me, this isn't going to work for me, I will give you your money back 100% guaranteed, no questions asked, because I want to assume all the risk of this investment. It's a fairly substantial investment, I realise that, but if you're not happy in any way, shape or form, I will give you your money back, no questions asked. But on top of that, I'm going to give you some extra special super fast action bonuses. For anyone who actually applies by midnight tonight, and I'm going to be strict on this, it's midnight UK time, so you've got a couple of hours. You'll also get a signed copy of my book, and this is the really special one. I will give you lifetime membership to all of my future training materials. I cannot say any fairer than that. Now, I have to say that means my materials, not necessarily my time. So if I put together another coaching program, you will get access to the materials, so the PDFs, the videos, and all of that kind of stuff. But obviously, you only get the one-to-one coaching that is in this program, not in any other future programs. But you will get lifetime membership to all of my future training materials. That is something that I think is really cool, and that is something that is only available this time around. I'm not going to make this particular offer again. It's just because this is an exciting time for me, and I just want to reward the first 6 people and anybody who actually, commits to making an application by tonight. And even then, remember, if you apply, you're still not set in stone. You've still got the opportunity to discuss it with me later on. Okay, so again, this is the application process. Go to that page that I've given you, submit the application form, pay the deposit. I will contact you within 48 hours and we go from there. Enough said. All right, I'm going to take questions now. Some of you have asked some questions, so I'm just going to give me a minute while I just go through. The only trouble is with the questions box, it's not very big. It only lets me see one line at a time. Okay. Yep. Oh, that's nice. Thanks for brilliant webinar, Tina. We'll have a think about this. Cool. Okay. Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Maggie. Well, do you know what? I haven't got any questions about the 7 steps or about, I've got some lovely comments. Thank you, guys. That's really lovely. I haven't got any actual questions, though, about the 7 steps or about the program. So I assume I've told you what you need to know. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to give you, I promise to give you that link to get your hands on the planning templates. So the planning templates, here they are, they're coming up. Now these planning templates, it's simple, but believe me, it is so effective. Okay, there you go. That is the link, so you can download the planning template. And it's just literally helping you to put your structure together and think about your enhancements. And if you just pop that in your briefcase, in the back of your diary or whatever, if you go to an event and somebody says, hey, our speakers let us down, would you be able to fill in and speak for us? With that template, you can knock together an amazing talk in literally 5 minutes and absolutely blow them away, because you know your stuff, and all you need is a little bit of putting it into a right order, and this template will help you to do that. So that's your template. Go and fill your boots with that. You download it. It's actually in Word, so you can type into it. Or is it? I can't remember actually now. It might be PDF, but you can print it off and use it again and again and again. and I love it. I use it all the time. Okay, so remember guys, that special offer, there's only 6 places available, and if you act quickly, there's all those super special bonuses. This is the application process. Again, I'm just going to leave that up, and that is it. If there are no questions, I just want to say thank you so much for spending the last hour and 10 minutes or so with me. My mission is to get you speaking, and as I said, I want to set you a challenge. I want you to make a commitment to, number one, improving your speaking skills. Now, that can either be working with me, it could just be reading a book, it can be putting something into Google and getting your hands on something, but I want you to make 2 commitments to me. I want, number one, you to take action to develop your skills further. I want you to also make another commitment to book yourself a speaking engagement. That's scary, I know. I want you to go and book yourself a speaking engagement. Now that can be either you're going to go to a networking event where you know you're going to be required to give an elevator pitch. That's the very minimum I want you to do. If you've never spoken before, I want you to go and join a speaking club. Go along and, you know, just get involved. Honestly, it'd be the best thing that you've ever done. Or if you've, you know, done a little bit of speaking, or if you're feeling brave, I want you to try and book a speaking event. So that can be either going to your networking organizations and saying, hey, can I come and talk to you, to your, you know, guys about XYZ topic, or run a webinar, or make a video. I don't care what you do. I want you to take those 7 steps, and I want you to use them. If you don't use them, there was no point in you being here the last hour. You know, so I want you to take those 7 steps. I want you to get out there and book yourself a speaking engagement, and then I want you to do me a favor, come back onto my Facebook page, which is Facebook, I'll pop it in the chat box. It's facebook.com/Public Speaking Academy. And I want you to tell me all about it. I want you to tell me how you got on. I want you to tell me, you know, what challenges you had. I want you to tell me everything about it, because then I can help you, because I'm quite happy to, you know, give you some tips and advice for free on my Facebook page. So please do tell me how you got on. Okay, well, that's about it, I think, everyone. Again, as I said, thank you so much for those of you who've stayed with me right to the end. I really, really am super privileged, and you know, I'm so grateful that I get the opportunity to help you guys. And as I promised, you can speak. It's so much easier than you think it is to get out there and be really great. So I look forward to seeing you again in the future. Have a fabulous day or evening or whatever time it is, wherever you happen to be. And I look forward to seeing you sometime very soon. So keep up the good work. Let me know how it's getting on, and I'll see you shortly. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye now.